Yes, Super Bowl Sunday, my mom and my sister's birthday. A great day to be alive, baby. A great day to be alive. Let's rock y'all up and it's going down. Now, I need y'all to let me know if the sound doesn't sound good because, you know, yesterday, on yesterday's show, when you go listen to the playback, you don't hear any music. And the sound sounds really muffled and all of that until exactly when the music goes off. So if y'all are hearing any flippity, blippity, choppy, muffly, mumbly type of feedback, please let me know. Not that I can do anything about it, but I doubt it. I'm gonna let it go around here without saying something about it. But we still here and we gotta talk about what we're gonna talk about. Send a shout word. Come from where you come from. You don't have to act like you're from somewhere else. Go to yourself. I come from Germantown, Philadelphia, PA. Yo, I got a lot to say. Around my way, I probably wasn't the best, but I give homage and say something about the rest. Still came up from where I came up from, and I'm still going where I'm going to. I'm not dumb. Still smart. Got a lot of heart. Make sure that I pay homage to the start. My origin, your origination. Where do you come from? Do you hate in? That's what we're talking about today on the Urban Therapy with Her show. You come from where you come from. A lot of people would like to change where they come from for a variety of reasons, and we're going to get into some of those reasons right now today. Super Bowl Sunday, baby. Super Bowl 57. You know I'm rocking. You know what I'm talking about. Yeah, yeah. We're going to do it to them tonight. No excuses, no exceptions. It's going to be a good time. So, yeah, you come from where you come from. So whether you come from a rich family, whether you come from a poor family, doesn't really matter. You have to make the money that you're going to make. You have to take care of your family the way you take care of your family. So let's say you come from a two-parent family. And you come from a two-parent family that's a two-parent family. Does it mean that you're going to be a two-parent family for your children? Maybe so, maybe not. But the bottom line is you're going to have to make the decisions for yourself that govern your life and for those that are around you. So it's not always going to be about where you come from. F where you from, kid. No, F where you at, kid. It's where you're from. Because where I'm from, people pack nothing but the big guns. Well, that's what Havoc said of Mob Deep. But we know that it does matter where you're from. And it does matter where you're going. Depending on your audience, it may be more important to be from somewhere than it is to be at somewhere. Being from somewhere is not a choice that you make. You don't decide where you're going to come from. You don't decide what hospital you're going to be born at. You don't decide which parents you're going to have. Well, I have heard it said by the ancestors that we choose our parents before we come into this world. Of course, I've heard a lot of disputes when it comes to that. Like, if you choose your parents before you come into this world, then why do some people pick rapists and abusers as their parents? Well, you don't know the lessons that need to be taught when you are right there with the creator. When you volunteer to go in, I'm sure you don't go in picking the exact best card that might be available. You go in here into this world to do the job that you were sent in here to do. And that has a lot to do with where you come from also. You can't change where you're from. You are from where you are from. You are from where you're from. Good, bad, or indifferent. It has a lot to do with your perspective, your self-esteem, your sense of self-worth, your sense of self-love. I love where I come from. The neighborhood, my parents, my family, my background. as I started living my life, those are the things I wanted to change. I didn't want to change where I came from. I wanted to change where I was going. I still want to change where I'm going. I want a bigger house. I want a bigger car. I want a bigger bank account. I want bigger opportunities. I want to help people in a bigger way. I want to change where I'm going. I'm from where I'm from. Now, does the place where I come from make me feel the way I feel about where I want to go? I don't know. I don't know. Hopefully, if you come from a place that you really are ashamed of and have reasons to be ashamed of, hopefully you change that in the places that you're going, the direction that you're going, the people that you are sending in the direction that they're going. Also, that's what I want to talk about today. That's where I want to go with this show. And that's what we're talking about today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show. T. Carey Wright, morning, noon, and night. It's always great to have my peoples going directly into your site. And Donald Mack, my other brother from another mother. Donald Mack, thanks for coming on through. Good to see you back. What's going on? Donald McKeever says, you ain't going to the game. Let me tell you something, Don. You know, my baby brother called and he said, yo, we going to the bowl, man. We got to go to the bowl. And then I told my baby brother, I said, it's a minimum of 5,000. What we going to do, baby brother? He was like, you sure? Because he's gone to a Super Bowl before. When they had the Super Bowl in North Jersey at Giant Stadium, he went to that Super Bowl. But see, back then, so much has changed between back then and now. See, back then, they still had paper tickets. You go to the you could buy your tickets from a scalper outside of the stadium for $1,500, $2,000, whatever the case may be, and that's what he did. And he went to the Super Bowl. He was in there. Go Panthers, because he live in North Carolina now. So you know he repped the Panthers when he's down there, but he Eagles for life. So I was explaining to him, I said, there are no more paper tickets, baby brother. So we can fly out to Arizona, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get in. Because I'm not giving anybody my bank information. I'm not swiping nobody's. I don't care if you have the little credit card reader on the street. I'm not swiping my card in your reader. I'm not doing that. So I can get home and find out that all my money is gone by the time, probably before I get on the plane to go back home. I done been cleared out. Yeah, I might have made it into the Super Bowl, or maybe not. So yeah. So listen, those packages that they were selling were a minimum of $5,000. I said no. I said, baby brother, the party is going to be in Philly when we win. This is where you're going to want to be, because that eruption that's going to happen when that green and silver confetti falls from the stadium in the sky. It's going to be crazy. There ain't going to be nobody in the house. Everybody going to be out in the streets. So I said, come to Philly. So he's supposed to be on his way to Philly. We're going to see. We're going to see. Because I ain't heard from him yet, but we're going to see. We're going to see. So that's my Super Bowl story. Stacey White, what's going on? What's going on, Ma? How you feeling? Good to see me, some of you. So yeah. So what we're talking about today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show is we're talking about you come from where you come from. You come from where you come from. Some people have tried to change where they come from, but you can't do that. You can't choose your mama and your daddy. You can't choose your siblings. You can't choose certain things that are out of your control. You are born into and born of what you're born into and born of. That's it. People get on me all the time about the way I get on Tupac Shakur, the late, great Tupac Shakur, born in Harlem, New York, raised in New York City, left New York City when he was 13 years old, moved to Maryland when he was 14 years old, Stayed in Maryland from 14 years old to 17 years old. Graduated high school in Maryland. Moved to the West Coast when he was 17 years old, about to turn 18 years old. You see where I'm going here? Moved to the West Coast, Oakland. Stayed in Oakland a few years. Started, he was rapping, acting, all that old good stuff. But he wasn't over there very long. Came back to New York because that's where he's from. Had a place in New York because that's where he's from. So he came home. Lived to be 25 years old. Shot and killed in Vegas at 25 years old. But when he was 23 years old, 24 years old, California love. East Coast, West Coast beef. You're not from the West Coast. I'm sorry, sir. You're not from the West Coast. You even said that. But somehow you made everybody forget that for one album, 2 albums. He had 2 albums of being from the West Coast. You are an East Coast rapper. You spent 17 years of your life on the East Coast. 17 years straight from the East Coast. Then you came back and did another 2 or 3 on the East Coast. California love. You can't change where you're from, sir. So, although many people consider you to be there in their top 5 greatest rappers of all time, you're not in mine. I mean, because my criteria is not popularity or fame. It's about lyrics. And you ain't really. You wrote a lot of songs, but you weren't lyrical. But I appreciate the impact that you had. But you can't change where you're from. And that's a classic case of coming from where you coming from, or coming from where you come from, but trying to change where you're from. You ain't gotta do that. You don't have to do that. So Stacey White says, you can't play with my money, my food, and my heart. Maybe that's why I'm married. Maybe that's not why. You can't play with my money, my food, and my heart. Maybe that's why I'm not married. Okay. I'm trying to tie that into what I was talking about. Are you tying that into when I was talking about coming from a 2-parent family? You know, a lot of people who have come from 2-parent families have made the mistake of trying to duplicate that against all odds. Well, my mom and my dad, they was together for years. It might not have always been good times, but they found a way to work it out. And the same thing with my grandparents. My grandparents was married for 50, 60 years. Okay, well, that's great. And I don't see anything wrong with wanting that for your children also. But if it's not possible for you to be with somebody that you love, that you care for, that you cherish, that you want to be with, that you see a future with, that makes your present day very, very, very good, well, your children might have to come from a 2-parent family that is not their biological 2-parent family, because you have to do what's best for yourself to put your children in an environment that is a healthy environment, whether you're talking about relationships or whether you're talking about their physical or emotional safety. And that also goes for the individual who we're talking about, the mama and the daddy. Because I too come from a 2-parent household. 11 years with my mama and my daddy, and the rest of the years with my mom and my stepdad. My late, great, wonderful stepdad. My glorious, exalted, honorable stepdad. And the only reason I call him my stepdad is so you know that he was not my biological father, but he was my father. He was my dad. And so was my biological father and my biological dad. Well, it's the same person, but So, you come from where you come from. How does that impact where you're going? How does that impact the way people look at you? And does that matter to you? Because it does matter to a lot of people. A lot of people get very caught up in what their background looks like. Now, don't get me wrong, because there are times and circumstances that can determine your present day or your future based on where you come from. There are times and ways that where you are from can open doors for you. Will it keep them open though? Like, let's say you are the son, daughter, nephew, or whatever of an influential politician. That might open some doors for you because it's a cosign. Because my mama or my daddy or my auntie or my uncle is a big wheel or a big deal in my city or in my state, that might, for example, get me accepted to the school of my choice when it's time for me to graduate high school. You know it happens all the time. You might not have the grades comparable to somebody who may get a scholarship to those schools, and you may be on the brink of elimination when they take a look at your grades. Like, well, we normally only take people who got a perfect 4.0. Let's say in the case of an Ivy League school, we normally only take people who have a perfect 4.0, have traveled the world, have done peacekeeping missions, or have, Ivy League schools be wanting more than just your grades. They know everybody is smart. We want people who are outstanding. So, what can you give us that's outstanding? Well, something like, oh, my father is the mayor of Philadelphia. I think University of Penn is going to take that into consideration. So you're telling me that the mayor's kid is pretty smart and they applied for here? Now, okay. They graduated perfect 4.0, but they didn't graduate from like Central High or Penn Charter or Abington Friends or, Friends Central or, one of those schools. Germantown Friends. They didn't graduate from one of those. Masterman. They didn't graduate from one of those schools where an A there is a real A. Maybe they graduated from like one of the local high schools. Like, okay, you're 4.0, but you went to Martin Luther King High School? Well, let's take a look at those SATs. Well, scored a 1300. Scored a 1300. Not bad. We question those A's coming out of MLK, but if they translate into a 1300, normally we would reject this. but he or she is the mayor's son or daughter. Approved. That's how Donald Trump got into University of Penn. He didn't have the grades to get in there. He just didn't. But money talks and BS walks. So if you come from money, of course, you know it can open doors for you the same way that sometimes where you're from can close doors for you. It can harm you. You know, like in the case where your last name might be Hussein and you just happen to be an exchange student from Iraq. It just so happens that your last name is Hussein and you're an exchange student from Iraq, or your last name is Bin Laden and you're an exchange student from Pakistan. Sure, there are plenty of Bin Ladens. There are plenty of Husseins. But you ain't from the plenty of them. You're from the ones that we know about. Would that close doors for you everywhere? No. From over there, it may keep doors way open for you. Your father was a great man. He left a legacy unparalleled by any other. And we will always carry ourselves in his name and in his vision. Long live Saddam Hussein. Long live Osama bin Laden. The truth will come out one day. Jihad. But over here in America, especially in the South, places like that, probably not a good look for you. It's probably not a good look for you. Remember when Barack Hussein Obama was running for president? I remember Super Coon, Charles Barkley said, it looks good, it sounds good and all of that, but I don't think America is going to vote for a black man named Barack Hussein Obama. I can't see it. Well, he was wrong. He was wrong. He was wrong in the majority. He was right in the minority. He was actually telling the truth. He comes from an era that we come from, where we never thought we would see a black president in our lifetime. And boom, just out of the sky comes a questionable American heritage black man named Barack Hussein Obama, against all odds. You're from where you're from. Carol Chamberlain, mi friend, mi favorita. Thanks for coming on through. Always great to see you. Make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun Show. I'm your host, Sun752, and we are talking about you are from where you are from. You come from where you come from. Carol says, hey, yo, happy world champion Eagles today, baby. I'm driving. That's what's up. Stacey White says, I guess the whole world is watching the game right now. I don't like football. I like basketball. Well, football ain't on right now. But check us around, I don't know, 6:30. And I don't know about the whole world, but I know this corner of the world, what we going to be doing. The lovers and the haters. Because this is definitely a football town, but not everybody is an Eagles fan. We have some bad people who are like fans of other teams. Speaking of fans of other teams, that no good, vile vermin, Rasheed Wallace. The Simon Grants graduate, Rasheed Wallace, is a Kansas City Chiefs fan. Rasheed Wallace went to the Sixers game last night and all this Kansas City Chiefs gear. Like, do you? Come on, man. Go ahead with all of that. Well, I hope you get your heart broken. But he comes from where he comes from. But I don't care where he comes from. I don't care. All right, let me do this. Urban Therapy with Sun 752, and this is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. We do this every single Sunday from 1 p.m. till around 2:30-ish. And the reason that we say 2:30-ish is because sometimes it gets so heated that we just have to do a little OT on a Sunday. And it is a Sunday. This is the show where adults come out and play with other adults. We laugh, we cry, we argue, fuss, and fight, go back and forth with each other, bust it up all crazy. We take an introspective look into our own personality to see the way that the universe projects us into this thing called the world and try to figure out this thing called life. I'm your host, Sun 752, aka Omar with the. And if you can't say Omar with the, well, then you just say Omar with the R. This is the Urban Therapy with Sun show. I'm feeling like a real man should, and I hope y'all feeling like real men and women should also. Today on the Urban Therapy with Sun show, we are talking about you come from where you come from. Make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. All right, so like I said, where you are from can open doors for you at certain times. They can also close doors for you or have you being looked at as a suspect. You know, if you are the family member of somebody who committed a high-profile murder, I imagine, not that I have any sympathy for these individuals, but think about those policemen, those nigger policemen that killed that young man down in Memphis. Those policemen have families. Those policemen have families. And their families didn't have nothing to do with what those cops did. But you can best believe that those cops' last names ring bells. So wherever their family members went in the state of Tennessee right now, especially in the Memphis area right now, Orange Mile, all those places in Memphis and surrounding Memphis. Can you imagine? Can you imagine what life is like for them? Because they get asked questions like, so that's your brother who did that? That's your uncle who did that? That's your mom? I'm sorry, there wasn't no women. That's your dad who did, like, ugh. But you're from where you're from. And your family is from where they're from also. So the family that comes from you are from you. So you have a lot of explaining to do, and they may have some explaining to do also. Right now, they're probably wishing that they didn't come from you, but they did, and they can't change that. You're from where you're from. You're from where you're from. I'm from where I'm from. You're from where you're from. Can't change that, but we can change where we're going. You might have pedophiles in your family. You're from where you're from. You might come from a family of high school dropouts. Let's talk about that for a minute. Because there are some people who come from families with that type of generational curse on them. All of your family members dropped out of high school. None of them finish high school. They are known for dropping out of high school. Does that mean that you won't graduate high school? It might. But what if it doesn't? What if you're ready to bring on the new generation? The new the new generation that said no. This generational curse stops right here today. Like Fantasia Barrino did. She said that one of the generational curses in her family was nobody graduating high school. And she said that she wasn't going to follow that curse. But she did in the beginning. She has since gone back and gotten her GED, I believe. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Cause I don't want, yeah, I mean. Did Fantasia graduate high school? Got a high school diploma. That's not even her GED. Now, check it out. It's saying that she got her high school diploma, not her GED. So she had a cap and gown and all of that. You don't get all of that when you get a GED. So she graduated from some high school. Now it says Fantasia finally graduates high school. Photos June 9th, 2010, written by AT Alien. AT Alien. ATL Lean. Well, I don't know. Anyway, well, sort of. Singer Fantasia Barrino, who appeared on stage in Greensboro over the. All right, let's look. Let's see what this says. Let's see what it say. Let's see what it say. Yeah, it has her here, her cap and gown, looking good. Go Fantasia. Go. Don't let nobody tell you you can't do nothing. Oh, she got an honorary degree. Honorary schmonorary. By the way, is the stream acting funny? Because I'm seeing it get slippity and blippity. The singer earned an honorary degree from the school after struggling for years with her ability to read and write. Well, if that ain't a case of it ain't where you're from, is where you're at, then nothing is. Let me see. All right. Okay. I had to get some things together over here on this side. On this side. Yeah. Okay. So is the stream okay? Can y'all hear me? Because like I said, I saw a delay in the stream. Like I was doing this and I saw that the stream was just doing this. So are we all right? We okay? We good? Are we good? Levels is good. Levels is good. Levels is good. Okay. So yeah. So things like that, if you allow things like that to govern where you're going in life, then you're going to have a problem. That would be like saying that, yeah, my mom, my dad abused me. Yeah, they beat me with the extension cord. They hit me with anything that they could find to hit me. Anytime I said anything out of pocket, or anytime I did anything that they didn't like, I almost had to fear for my life. So would you do that with your own children? Because you're from where you're from. You come from abuse. You come from a family of abuse. You come from a history of abuse. You come from a family of abusers. Do you want that for your own children? Do you want them to suffer at the hands of that same type of thing? I hope not. I really, really hope not. But you're from where you're from. Hopefully, wherever you're from makes you represent a better way of life, something more fulfilling, something that could take you somewhere beautiful instead of keeping you back. You're from where you're from. You may have grown up in deep poverty, really, really destitute, impoverished, and from the slums, you know, shack, um, Section 8, projects, public housing, food stamps, welfare check, WIC, drug abuse. Um, there are a whole lot of, lack of education, all of those things that go along with poverty. You may have come from there. Does that mean that you have to stay there? Does it mean that you don't have another way out? Does it mean that your children, you and your children, if you have children, will suffer the same fate, follow the same suit? Well, I hope not. I hope not. What is going on with this stream? What is happening here? Let me see. I'm a more than likely I'm gonna make quick work of this. If this stream is not, if it's not publishing right, if it's not coming through right, if it's not streaming correctly, then more than likely I'll make quick work of this, and we'll call it a day, because I don't want to fight, and I certainly don't want to lose. Yeah, I'm saying. So anyway, but you're from where you're from. So you may come from a family of welfare recipients, um, uh, ne'er do wells, jailbirds. Oh my gosh, yeah, I want to talk about that for a hot second. Yeah, you may come from a lot of those stuff. I'm not on. So, so all right. So Stacy says I'm not buffering. I guess I was buffering before. Buffer Met. Anyway, yeah, you might have come from not just humble beginnings, but you may have come from deep poverty. No money, no lights in the house, no heat, no water. Things like, I mean, you know how it is when you poor, relying on the state for everything. That's your sole income. Some people come from that. And maybe that's where you come from, but you're from where you're from. Does that mean that you will get on welfare? Does that mean that food stamps will always be a part of your life? Does that mean that you will always have to be dealing with social workers and people who will decide what your rent is going to be, or what your income is going to be like, or how much you should make with each child and things like that? Medical cards, food stamps, welfare check. It doesn't mean that just because you come from that, it doesn't mean that you won't search for something better. I know plenty of people who grew up in the projects, but they don't live there no more. I know plenty of people who come from being poor, but they ain't poor. They got themselves up out of the mud. Maybe learned a trade in school. Met people who put them on a track to being more successful and upwardly being upwardly mobile, and they're doing well for themselves. They wanted more for themselves and where they are going, than where they came from. So they saw to it that things changed. I'm getting up out of this public housing. I'm getting out of this poverty, this impoverished state. I'm leaving all of this government assistance alone. My kids are going to have better schools. My kids are going to live in a better neighborhood. They're going to have more. They're going to understand more. I'm going to make sure that their blessings are multiplied way more than mine ever were. Some people get left behind. So I guess for some people, where you're from has a stronger impact than others. But the bottom line is that it doesn't have to apply for everybody, or apply to everybody. Just doesn't. But you are from where you're from. So being from where you're from just means to me that you have a story to tell. And it may be a really good story, an inspirational story that somebody who is from where you're from, or like from where you're from, can hear and then be able to tell for themselves. They may draw inspiration from that. Stacy White says, curses are broken. No lack of education, no drug abuse, no single mother. Cool. No property curses? Manifesting blessings. Okay. Donald Mack says, I've talked to many of these young dudes in Pittsburgh who make that excuse that they are in the drug game because that's what their family has always done. Many are almost 20 years and have never been out of their own neighborhood. I've seen situations like that. I've known situations like that. And it's bad. You know why? You know what's really bad about that, Donald Mack? Because one of the first times when they make it out of their neighborhood might be when they go on that prison bus up in the mountains. You know, our most notable state prison isn't that far from Philly. It's called Phoenix Correctional Facility, State Correctional Facility. It used to be called Greatersford. The whole state of Pennsylvania knows about Greatersford State Prison. Well, now it's called Phoenix. They moved it, new facility, state of the art prison. State of the art. But yeah, far too often where you're from will dictate where you're going, but it doesn't have to. And when it doesn't dictate where you have gone, you don't have to deny or try to change where you're from. It shouldn't matter to anybody that you came from there. What should matter is that you escaped from there, or you came from there, left from there, are where you are now, and are on your way to being something better and farther away later. Clock my progress. See how I'm doing. Check the timeline. Damn, Donald Mack. You said your brother did many years in Graterford. Man. Well, I'm glad he came home. Goodness gracious. Emily says, I think it was my iPhone. I don't think so, because I was looking at the numbers. It went down to 0. So I'm thinking like people probably backing out, coming back in, whatever the case may be. I don't know. I'm glad that you're back. I'm glad everybody is back. I don't know what's going on. Man, listen. One thing they don't set this thing up to be able to do is to be adjusted in game. That's what they don't do. Make sure y'all hit that like button, y'all. Make sure that y'all share the show. Make sure that y'all subscribe to the channel if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. This is Urban Therapy with Sun Show, and we are talking about you come from where you come from. You can't be where you want to be from unless where you want to be from is where you come from. You can only come from where you come from. You can go wherever you want, though. What they say when they used to kick us out of the parties, you ain't got to go home, but you got to get the out of here. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the out of here. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the out of here. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the out of here. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get the out of here. You ain't got to go home, but you got to get out of here. Yeah, out of here. You come from where you come from. You're from where you're from. A lot of us bougie blacks, we make it somewhere in life and we try to pretend that we didn't come from where we came from. Or we suffer a lot of embarrassment because of where we come from. I don't know, man. I just think that's crazy. I do. I think it's crazy to be ashamed of where you come from. I get it, but I don't get it. I get it. I get how some people can be so sensitive to people labeling them as being this, that, and the third because they come from a certain place. But it doesn't have to stick. And one thing that's very respectable and very commendable is when you say, I don't care about what happened before. What happened before was beyond my control. Or even the things that I've done before. I was doing them for different reasons than I would do them today. That's the reason I'm doing what I'm doing today and not what I did before, not what I did yesterday or any of those yesterdays. You know, people who try to down you or try to tease you or try to insult you because you don't come from where they think that you should come from, you didn't do what they think that you should have done or should have been done. To me, they're very short-sighted. And that shit is only going to work on people whose self-esteem is so low that they would try to change where they're from. You ever catch somebody lying about where they come from or lying about where they come from? You ever? I have. It ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. I never forget the girl that I knew who lived in Germantown. She lived in Germantown. She lived over in the Somerville section in Germantown. And she said, when she told me where she lived, she said that she lived in Mount Airy. She told me she lived in Mount Airy. Now, you don't get to Mount Airy in the direction, like Mount Airy is going north. It goes, when you're going up Germantown Avenue, you're going north through Germantown, through Mount Airy, Chestnut Hill, then eventually out of the city. She lived in the Germantown side. You don't get to the Mount Airy side until you cross Washington Lane. And even with that, a lot of people who live right across Washington Lane do not claim Mount Airy. It ain't Mount Airy enough. So they still like, no, I live in Germantown. So a lot of people may not say they live in Mount Airy till they get all the way up to Upsall Street on this side. They'd be like, no, I don't live in Mount Airy. I live in Germantown. But she wanted to live in Mount Airy. She lived way like a whole 4 blocks before the border. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I said, I ain't have that much of a filter back then. I was like, you don't live in Mount Airy? I said, this is Germantown. She was like, it don't really matter, Germantown, Mount Airy. Like if it didn't matter, you wouldn't have slipped up and said Mount Airy. I wonder if all these years later, because this was when I was like 18. I wonder if all these years later she made her way up that way. Because mentally she was already there. She was there. I don't know. You're from where you're from. Donald Mack says, yep, about 23 to be exact. Whoa, he did 23 years? Sheesh. Good Lord. That's a long time in the pen. He says, both of us come from the same place, same parents, same schools, but I made the choice not to do what he was doing. I can dig it. You made the choice to do what you do what you did, and he made his choices. Now, if you're talking about the choice that I think that you might be talking about, a lot of brothers made the choice that he made. And it was all good. I mean, they was giving us so many years for drugs. Not everybody who sold drugs did Fed time. See, people be thinking, just because you sell drugs that you automatically get in Fed time. It doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, because if you don't cross state lines, then you probably haven't pushed it up to the feds. If you stay within state lines, and God forbid you add on some violence with the drug sales, a murder or an assault or an attempted murder, yeah, it can get you 23 years. I don't know your brother's whole situation, but I understand. Boy, do I understand. At least he made it out alive. And see, so Donald Mack, coming from the D, spending a lot of time on the west side of Pennsylvania. I know you do your thing over there in Pittsburgh. So, and that's what a lot of people don't take into consideration when people go to jail. Grantisford is all the way over here on the east side of Pennsylvania. That's not no short drive. It's not a short drive from Pittsburgh to Philly. People be trying to make it sound like it's just a hop, skip, and a jump. That's 4 or 5 hours. Easy. Easy. If you drive slow, 5 hours easy. But to put it in context, it's like 250 miles. Actually, wait a minute. What does it say on the sign? Because it don't say until you get on the PA Turnpike. How many miles is from Pittsburgh to Philly? Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. How many miles is it from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh? Is it 300? 305. Oh, the flight miles. Okay. So yeah, on the ground, 305 miles. That's not a short drive. If you live in one of those big giant states, like a Texas or California, yeah, the 300 miles ain't nothing for you. Because y'all live in one of them big ass states. Well, in Pennsylvania, not that Pennsylvania is a small state. It's not like a Jersey or Delaware or New Hampshire or anything like that. But it's still not it's not one of the largest states. So that's almost coast to coast. Almost. So the inconvenience of family members and loved ones that might want to come visit an inmate, that ain't no easy drive, man. Especially on 76. Anybody who has ever been in Pennsylvania knows that 76 is the worst highway on earth. On earth, bar none. Nothing can compare. Route 76 east and west is the worst route on earth. 2 lanes on both sides, the full way. No 3-lane highways. 2 lanes, 2 small lanes. It looked like they never had the intentions of cars being on it. Like, we good with horse and buggy. Anyway, so yeah. We from where you're from. You're from where you're from. Don't be ashamed where you from, homie. You ain't got to be afraid. I'm sorry, ashamed. Donald Mack says Detroit was giving guys life for having anything over 650 grams back then. That's why I left Michigan in the first place. Why? Because you was about to get caught with 700 grams. Donald Mack said, life for 650 grams? And I'm sitting here with a pack. I almost got a brick here. Almost got a brick. Donald Mack said, I gotta go play some baseball. You know what I mean? This dope game. He said this dope. He said this dope game gonna keep me off a home plate for good. Oh, hell no. I'm out of here. I'm out of here. Peace to my other brother from another mother, Donald Mack. I'm only messing with you, man. All right. Stacey White says, mentally, my mind is in New York. but God has another plan for me for a little bit. Let me tell you something about New York. If you coming from Michigan and you move and you planning on moving into to New York of all places, you make sure that you have all your ducks in a row. You make sure that your money is stacked to the ceiling because you're going to need it. Because the change, the difference, and the cost of everything from Michigan to New York, it's like night and day. I don't see how anybody affords to live in New York. That's that's a warning and the truth. New York, big city of dreams, but everything in New York ain't always what it seems. You might get food if you come from out of town, but I'm down by law and I know my way around too much. Too many people, too much. Too much. Too many people, too much. My brother from another mother, Donald Mack, is on the line. I see him. Get him on it up in here. What's going on, my brother? How you feeling this afternoon? What's on your mind? I know that's why I was messing with you. That's why I knew what you. Yeah, yeah. The laws back. We talking about the 80s and 90s. You know, especially after they came up with the three strikes rule and all that kind of stuff. It was rough. So but there was such a big push to get crack off the streets that they was just giving brothers time. They was giving them football numbers. They was trying to give them basketball high scoring numbers. You know what I mean? So yeah, so yeah, it was rough. Hmm. Just 40 days, 40 to 80. Oh, so how did oh, so he came down on appeal after doing 23. Yeah, man. Luckily, and it's funny because a lot of people talk about um Obama didn't do nothing for black people and all of that kind of stuff, but they fail to remember or they don't know that he got rid of those Rockefeller laws, and a lot of people got a chance to come home after having long, really lengthy convictions that were associated with drugs and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's a tough situation, but yeah, now in the context of what we're talking about today on the show, you're from where you from. Like your brother could look at doing 23 years in jail as like the end of his life, because people used to think that now you'll never be able to get a decent job. You know how hard it used to be for felons to get decent jobs and to be able to start over and to shake off that stigma of being an inmate and all of that kind of stuff, a convicted felon. Now things have changed for them, so you can point yourself or your life in the direction that you want to point it to, but you still have to own up to whatever you did. That's what the incarceration was about it in the first place. But now you have a chance to go wherever you want to go and do whatever you want to do, and hopefully he stays on a positive path. Mhm. Mm, mhm, mm. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, that's true. It's you're right. They will never see the struggle that we saw, that our parents saw, that our grandparents saw. They don't know nothing about that. That's actually a good thing. That's actually a good thing. The entitlement part, not a good thing, because the world has to change. It hasn't changed in their favor. It's just that I think that we've done so much for them that the tactics that we employed in order to make it out, or to do well for ourselves, are not what they're going to have to do. You know what I mean? We couldn't make a we couldn't develop an app on the internet and make $1 million overnight. You know what I mean? We couldn't do that. They can do that kind of. All right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's. I mean, these cats, they live like they're desperate, but they're really not. I don't understand it. I really don't. But that's kind of like what we're working with now, and I don't know the solution. The immediate solution. It's just like something that we have to. It's something that we have to deal with for the time being. But I know that there's so many factors that go into it, like you know their background, their education, the educational system, the food that they're eating. You know what I mean? The influence of the internet, media sources, all kinds of stuff. They're getting a lot of different information than we ever got when we were coming up, and it's having an effect on them. Um, and I feel sorry for them. And of course, people like you, people like me, are going to help them as much as we can, but we can't reach them all. And for the ones that we do reach, That's great. But the ones that we don't reach are going to be way more than the ones that we get a chance to help. So it's a tough situation. But like so many of today's youth don't seem to think that they have a future anyway. That's, that's why they're just taking all kinds of crazy chances on their health, on their lives, on their future. Like I don't know, man. They think it's cool to go to jail. Like, are you crazy? You know what I mean? Talking about street credit, man. My street credit is going to be on the streets. That's it. It ain't never gonna come from inside. It's gonna always be from outside. So whatever credit you want to give to me, it's gonna have to be right here on the outside. But yeah. But listen, man, I appreciate you calling in. I really do. And thank yeah, don't let me make you a don't make me make you a dope boy on this show. You know what I'm saying? I Mhm, mhm. Yeah. We got to do it. It's gonna get done. You know what I mean? I talk to you after the celebration. All right, peace. Well, that was my brother from another mother, Donald Mack. I don't know how I'm sorry, how YouTube was able to block him out in real time because it's coming through the speakers. How do you block somebody out that's coming through the speakers? The speaker. I don't know. I don't know. Look, we're gonna do these birthday shout outs and get on up out of here, man. Because it's getting too weird. It's too weird. It's too weird. It's too weird. Oh, I thought I heard a strange sound. Somebody was trying to call me on Messenger during the show. Now I'm really confused. All right, let's do these birthday shout outs. We have some birthday shout outs to do. Some people were born on this glorious February 12th, and they deserve to be acknowledged. So let's go about our business of acknowledging them and making them feel special because they are special because they are special because they are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They are SPECIAL. They get the RESPECT. They get number one out the box, my mama. And my sister, mama, and my sister, and mama. I said, mama, and my sister, and mama. My mom, Rosie Blue, McIntyre Games. Happy birthday to you, greatest mother that ever walked the earth. It's the greatest for me. It's all I need. Always show love, always show support, always show concern. Still here, 82 years old. You know what I mean? Did we? You know when you live that long, and I've been blessed to have both parents live that long. Pretty miraculous. Um, we talking about where we from. I'm from that. Does it necessarily mean that I'm going to live to be 80 years old? Or I hope so. But that will have a lot to do with how I live my life. You know what I mean? Same as my brothers and sisters and all of that kind of stuff. But happy birthday, mom. And also Darby Dita McIntyre guy. Y'all know Darby Dita McIntyre guy. Dun, 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 dun. At the beat, go. Happy birthday, big sister. My first love. Me. Yeah. So happy birthday to both of y'all. And also, Shy Rose Jamal, happy birthday to you. And Carla Doss, Go Getter Carla Doss turning 57 years old today. And also Shawnee D. Johnson, happy birthday to you. And Renee Artist, happy birthday to you. And Stephanie Janika Florviral. Floriville Georges or Jorges, happy birthday to you. And also Rosanna Garcia, happy birthday to you. And Veronica Phillips, turning 58 years old today. And Nabalirwa Esther, turning 38 years old today. And Robin Henry, happy birthday to you. And Carolini La Patrona de Rodriguez, turning 34 years old today. And James Jones, turning 48 years old today. And Yuri L. Charles, happy birthday to you. And Cassandra Perkins, turning 55 years old today. And last, Vinia Cooper, turning 56 years old today, and she's raising money for the Universal Hip Hop Museum. Oh, yeah, sounds like a good cause to me. And last but not least, going all the way back to the 1993, my girl Amy McCullough. Amy. I want to say happy birthday to all of y'all and anyone else out there who shares this birthday on this glorious February 12th, anywhere out there in the world, worldwide, internationally, and universally. All of y'all go ahead and turn up. But don't turn up too loud. Just turn up loud enough so everybody can hear you. Rock out, rock on it, do the damn, the rock out, rock on it, do the damn, rock out, rock on it, do the damn thing. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. You do your thing, y'all. Represent the queens and kings. Good things happen to those who wait. Great things happen to those who grind. And anything can happen to those who go for theirs. So go hard, go for yours, and remember, you come from where you come from. You're from where you're from. You can't change where you're from. You are where you are right now, though. Now you can change that, and you have influenced that, and you have controlled that. And where you're going, you have full control. You are at the wheel. Many times we make people think that they are in control of where we are headed towards in our lives, but it's not true. You have total control over that. And I hope that you exercise as much control as possible. So, with that being said, with that being said, I want y'all to have a wonderful day. Go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Fight, Eagles, fight. Score a touchdown, 1, 2, 3. Hit them low, hit them high, and watch our Eagles fly. Fly, Eagles, fly on the road to victory. Eagles, Eagles. Super Bowl tonight, baby. You know what I'm saying? Tonight, we make history. You think we won't win? We will. You think Jalen Hurts don't have the skills? That's my word, baby. So, all right. Blog Talk, we gonna get you out of here. Yeah. Did y'all hear that? I don't know. It's crazy. And for my YouTubers, you know just how we do, but thanks for coming on through. See you on the other side, my boobers. Holla! Peace, y'all.